All right, I'm about to do a strength session on the old legs, doing some squats, back squats, and I want to show you guys some ideas for warm-ups and stretching. I also want to show you what I mean by doing plenty of warm-up sets, practice sets, / build-up sets. Okay, so when you're warming up, you got two major categories. You have your general warm-up, which you should always do, and then you have a specific warm-up. Okay, if you have machines like the rower, the bike, ski erg, then feel free to use those as part of your general warm-up. You could ride the bike for a couple minutes. What you want to do with that is you're taking two major things you got to accomplish, maybe three, is get the whole body warm, all the way down to like the center of your core. You want to get everything warm, raise your temperature, literally, get sweating a little bit. Okay, raise your heart rate on purpose. When your heart rate raises, your nervous system wakes up and you'll perform better. Okay, so if you got a bike, and when you're warming up, you might want to set it a little lower than you normally do to get a deeper stretch in the knees and the hips. I wouldn't normally go that deep when I'm working out because that'll just smoke you really fast. But while I'm warming up, it's a good stretch on the knees. You can go for time or go for calories. Do about 20 calories on a bike or on a rower. Even a ski erg will get you fired up. Personally, I like to avoid the classic jog for a warm-up. I'm 43. I have stiffness and old injuries that don't like the impact as part of the warm-up. If you don't have a machine, then I'm going to show you 3 moves that you can do to warm up the whole body, starting from the top down, okay? And if you are an older athlete, it usually doesn't happen with the younger athletes, you get back pain during your squats. It's usually because you have a tight hip complex, especially the iliopsoas, the hip flexors. If they're tight, they kind of tend to pull you like this, and your butt will stick out and your belly will stick out a little bit because it's pulling this angle down. That's going to put a lot of negative static stress on your lumbar, okay? And the reverse is also true. If you have tight piriformis, glutes, hamstrings, they're going to pull the hips the other direction, which kind of makes it look like you got your butt tucked under you, okay? That would be tight glutes, loose psoas, but if they can all be tight, the front and the back. So this warm-up will loosen those up, and then I'll show you some stretches, okay? So starting from the top, we like to do a toe toucher, okay? And then reach all the way up, and you intentionally moving those shoulders through full range of motion, stretching the backside, okay, opening the shoulders. All right, do 15 of these. Stretch the belly, the psoas, the hips, turn yourself into a banana, come back down. Kind of like a jumping jack, sort of. Get those arms moving. Because just because you're doing back squats doesn't mean you don't want to get your upper body warmed up. Don't just focus on legs during your warm-up. All right, the upper body is very active, especially on heavy back squats. Okay, so then we go to the floor and we're gonna hit a cobra, push your hips into the floor, stretch your hips out. All right, and then hit a downward dog. And if you do this at full range of motion and pike up high enough, you can hit the hammies and the calves while you're hitting the shoulder complex, loosening up those shoulders. Because if you're like me, just getting my arms in a back squat position, it can be a deep stretch if I'm cold. Okay. And this is what you call dynamic warm-up, because I'm not really trying to hold any position for very long. Just working through the positions. I'm trying to break a sweat as I go. Okay, and then the last move is squats, all right? And from here on out, I'm gonna be doing what I called earlier a specific warm-up, because now I'm gonna start squatting, starting with air squats and then an empty bar. No matter what your barbell movement is, make sure you always warm up and practice with an empty bar. Don't start with weight, okay? With the air squat, go all the way down, stretch the ankles, knees, and hips, full range of motion, work on your posture, come all the way up, straight as a board. Should be able to connect a straight line between all the joints at the top, okay? All the way down, all the way up. And as wrestlers, we really want to focus on the stretch shortening cycle. That means the eccentric, amortization, and the concentric. And we want that to be smooth. We want each segment to be zero. It's like I want to go down quickly, transition, and pop up quickly. So all three parts, if we try to time it, will be close to zero. I don't want to go so fast that I lose control. I want to work on skill. Kneecaps over the middle of the toes. Okay, toes slightly out. Hips, ankle joints somewhere between hip width and shoulder width. Okay, feet flat, even pressure throughout the foot the whole way. Perfect balance. Okay, and that's a good general warm up. You got your toe touchers, that's what I call them, and then your cobra downward dog, and then your air squats. And that's also a good warm up to do at tournaments. We do that before every match at tournaments. It gets the whole body going. All right. And I'll just do J cups today. I don't even remember what height I put those monoliths. Okay, so build up sets, practice sets, warm up sets. Always start with an empty bar, and this goes for your power lift, squat, bench, deadlift. This also goes for your Olympic lifts, your cleans, and your snatches. Always start with the bar. And I would say do a minimum of 10, depending on how stiff and cold you are and how old you are. And as wrestlers, we need to be strong, powerful, agile, accurate, coordinated in all positions at full range. So we do the squats the same way that we wrestle at full range. There's something to be said about doing movements at full range of motion. You will be good at partial range if you always do movements at full range, okay? But the reverse is not true. If you do movements at partial range all the time, like partial squats, you will not be good compared to athletes who always do them at full range, okay? Like your legendary Olympic lifters always squat at full range, and their full range squat would crush a power lifter that never trains at full range. All right, so now according to your max, which mine at one time was 450, I'm retired now, so I don't really track it anymore. 135 is usually my opening set. It's less than 50% of my max, so it's actually pretty light. And with the first weight on my warm-up set / practice, okay, build up, whatever you want to call them, all three, I will do a set of 10. I'm thinking about heel pressure, toe pressure. Should have both at the same time, heel and toe pressure. I'm thinking about knee placement. Are my knees in perfect position throughout the whole squat? I'm thinking about core placement. Is my core tight? Do I have good posture? Okay, I should have neutral posture. My blades should be slightly pinched together. I don't know how many that was. I was talking, blabbering. Huh? A lot. Okay. And I'm showing you how to work up to a heavy single. Okay, when we work up to a heavy single, normally you do not want to do a lot of volume. Okay, we just want to get a little bit of heavy work on the skeleton, on your nervous system. Move something heavy. Keep the strength category moving forward. Maybe not dramatically moving forward, but still moving forward. Okay, because wrestlers have a lot on their plate. You got 2 or 3 hours of wrestling training. All right, sometimes you're not going to have, and you have to take this in consideration, you're not going to have the resources you think you have. Your muscle tissues are already broken down from wrestling. Your nervous system's already broken down from wrestling. And if you overdo it, you just try to do for example, the same volume of strength and conditioning that a world champion CrossFitter would do, you'd have to be a freak of nature. That's most likely going to be significant overtraining. Okay, because a champion CrossFitter is not going to do wrestling practice. All right, this is 185. All right, I'm doing high bar back squats where the bar sits on top of the traps. Okay, blades pinch, good posture, below parallel, get as deep as you can. Smoothly drop, transition, and pop up. Okay. On these practice sets, build-up sets, they can be work, okay? But you you want to stop way before failure. Your working sets, they need to be everything you got, okay? And meaning you got to risk hitting failure frequently. All right, make sure most of the time you don't have anything left in the tank. That set of 5 was all you got. You couldn't get 6, okay, on the working sets. All right. When I say work up to a heavy single though, that is for the day. All right, what feels heavy for you today? You may not have fully recovered. You may not be feeling great. And you get to about, say, 90-95% of your max, and you're really questioning whether you can go any higher or not. Don't go any higher. That's good. Okay? All right, we got 225 on there now. Do. And none of these numbers are set in stone. You just want to make incremental jumps. You don't want to jump straight to your heavy single. You really need to build up, warm up. If you jump straight to your heavy single, you could break something. And that's no bueno. All right. Plus, you need practice. If you're not old like me and been doing it for decades, you're a beginner, you need to get plenty of practice reps in there. All right, next up is 275. Remember, I'm kind of going off of my old max, which was 450 when I was competing in CrossFit comps. That's where I held my max, was 450. Probably can't do that anymore, so I have to take that into consideration the heavier I get. For example, I'll probably stop at 315 today. Back in the day though, I probably would have pushed it up to 405 for a heavy single. That would have been it. A good heavy single. So once you hit what you feel like is like your heavy weight, when it starts to get real, like I think for me it's 275, then you can start doing singles, okay? Because remember, we're not trying to do a lot of volume. And if you look at the conditioner, you'll notice the conditioner often has more leg stuff. Okay, so that's one reason too why I'll program work up to a heavy single, because it's kind of your warm up, your primer. It wakes you up so you can hit the conditioner really hard. We're killing two birds with one stone, getting you ready for the conditioner and getting you a little bit stronger. That actually felt better than I thought it would with my old retired legs. Surprised myself. All right, I'm gonna throw 315 on now. If you want to write these weights down, and do the math, do the percentages, and then you can go off of that and make the same jumps based off of your max. So whatever 315 is of 450 might be more accurate to do it off like 405. I don't think I'd hit 450 anymore. Do you know where my belt is? The brown? Oh, there it is. It's one of my unwritten rules. Once I got 3 wheels on there, that's when I get the belt out. You only need a minute or 2 between each set. That wasn't so bad. Oh, that's great. Light went out. All right. I think I'm gonna keep going. I had another 30 on there. 15s on each side. What I have? 315. So this is 345. And remember also, if you're comparing yourself to other people's numbers, the form and the depth mean absolutely everything, okay? Like your 1,000-pound squatter, they're out there, they're dedicated power lifters. They're usually weighing close to 400 pounds, and they're like 6'5". They're barely touching parallel, and they're doing low bar back squat, and they're also wearing a suit that gives them more weight, allows them to do more weight. So all those factors considered, you really only want to compare yourself to, as a wrestler, doing high bar back squat all the way down, to Olympic lifters and CrossFitters, because they're going to do the same exact standard as you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Wasn't so bad either, but I'm going to stop right there just for to keep this video short. Like I said, I would keep doing singles up to 405 at my peak. All right, so I just want to see you guys keep those things in mind. Do plenty of build-up warm-up sets where you're going to taper off. You'll do like a couple sets of 10, set of 6, set of 3, and then some singles up to your heavy single. And don't empty the tank. Don't smoke yourself. Don't create jello legs or Bambi legs when you see that title work up to a heavy single. Because most likely, take a look at the conditioner, which pretty much all our conditioners have some legs in it in one form or another. Burpees require legs, box jumps, all the machines, the runner, thrusters, and so on and so forth, jump rope, all require legs. So there's always reasons behind the volume that I chose. And you can't necessarily except for working up the heavy single. You can't go wrong with whatever I set as the working sets. As long as you go as heavy as possible in those working sets, you did it correctly. Okay, and worst case scenario, say you gave a little too much to the heavy single and it kind of bogged down your conditioner, and you're thinking, well, I could have went faster and harder on the conditioner if I didn't spend so much on the back squats. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's just as you're getting to know yourself in the workouts, you will figure out how much is enough, and what moves the needle, what makes you stronger without tanking you and killing your conditioner. So that's the great puzzle. We need to divide our resources up between wrestling practice, okay, our strength session, and our conditioner. And the wrestling practice always takes priority. You give everything you got to wrestling practice, and then whatever you got left goes to the strength and conditioning. Okay.